While I was working, the sexy boss's wife came into my office, saying her office was having network maintenance, and asked if she could sit in mine for a while. I said, "Of course, you could even sit on my face if you want." When those words came out, both she and I were stunned. That was my inner thought, and I didn't know why I had spoken it aloud. The boss's wife's face turned bright red, and her assistant rushed out the door, shouting for the boss to come. I wanted to stop her, but it was too late. The boss stormed into the office, demanding to know what I meant. With a tearful face, I said, "Your wife is so sexy and voluptuous. How could a skinny dog like you satisfy her?" After saying that, I wanted to slap myself. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I just couldn't control myself and kept blurting out my inner thoughts. The boss grabbed my hair, gritting his teeth as he said, "If Mr. Zhao wasn't coming soon, I'd deal with you right now. Handle Mr. Zhao's case first, then I'll settle accounts with you." When the boss said this, my head started throbbing. I'm a lawyer, and Mr. Zhao's case is a major one I'm handling. After making his fortune, he abandoned his original wife for a young, beautiful mistress, and now he's transferred his assets, wanting to leave his wife with nothing after the divorce. I've been handling this case, and doing well. Under my various strategies, the original wife finally agreed to settle privately, and today's goal was to have her accept 100,000 yuan and leave. Soon Mr. Zhao arrived, arm in arm with the young woman. Upon seeing me, he smiled and extended his hand. "Nice to see you again." I forced a smile. "You're celebrating too early." Mr. Zhao looked at me puzzled, then laughed heartily, patting my shoulder. "I like your cautious attitude. You're a good lawyer." I sat in my chair, fighting back tears. When Mr. Zhao's original wife arrived, she sat across from us dejectedly. This woman had given everything for Mr. Zhao, only to end up with 100,000 yuan. I silently prayed she would just sign and take the money. But things didn't go as smoothly as I'd hoped. The original wife held the pen, asking somewhat reluctantly, "Is this really all the assets he can give me?" Mr. Zhao looked smug, while I clenched my fists and couldn't hold back. "There's 4 million in cash hidden under the floorboards at your old house." In an instant, the smile froze on Mr. Zhao's face. The boss also stood there dumbfounded. I knew clearly that I would lose my job. The original wife trembled with excitement, while Mr. Zhao shook with rage, landing a heavy punch on my face. I fell to the ground as Mr. Zhao pointed at me, cursing, "What kind of useless lawyer are you? Just wait, I'll definitely have someone deal with you." I held my face, feeling only terror. There were too many things frightening me. I didn't understand what was happening to my body, and I was certainly going to lose my job. Moreover, I knew Mr. Zhao had a gang of illiterate thugs who weren't afraid of jail time as long as they got paid. The boss clearly wasn't going to protect me. After Mr. Zhao angrily left, the boss just glanced at me and said, "Pack your things and leave. Don't die at my law firm's doorstep." Terror spread through my heart. I didn't bother packing, just rushed downstairs. Lawyers use the law as their weapon, so they fear those who don't care about the law the most, people who don't worry about debt or jail time, those who have nothing to lose in life. The law is a forced exchange weapon, but not an equal one, especially those street thugs who treat detention centers like their home. I didn't want to mess with such people. I hurried home, but as soon as I got in my car, I noticed 2 motorcycles seemed to be following me. I stepped on the gas, and as soon as I reached my building, I quickly got out and ran upstairs. In my panic, I heard someone shouting "Stop" behind me. Looking back, I saw several thugs who clearly had no future in life chasing after me. I didn't dare stop, panting as I opened my door and quickly closed it. My girlfriend was home, and seeing me return so early, she asked puzzled, "Why are you home so early?" As soon as I looked around the house, I knew something was wrong. The place was decorated beautifully, with flower petals scattered on the floor and balloons attached to the walls. Especially notable was a pair of couple's rings on the coffee table, not yet wrapped. My girlfriend looked at me a little sheepishly and whispered, "It's your birthday today. I was going to give you a surprise, but since you found out, there's nothing to hide." She hopped over to me, beaming, and said, "Will you marry me?" "You can't lie." I stared at her blankly, unable to control the words that came pouring out of my mouth. "I don't want to." "And what do you mean I can't lie? What does that even mean?" My girlfriend immediately pouted. "Why don't you want to marry me? Don't you love me?" I said, "I love my boss's wife." My girlfriend's eyes widened, and she stared at me in disbelief. "Why? What does that 30-year-old woman have that I don't?" I was on the verge of tears. "Because she's beautiful, has a great figure, and is gentle. All you do is max out my credit cards. You earn $3,000 a month, but buy $30,000 bags with my card. And you keep saying you want me to buy you a Mercedes. Why don't you take a good look at yourself? My girlfriend's face was flushed. If you love your boss's wife so much, why are you still with me? Because every time I try to break up with you, you threaten to kill yourself. You either swallow sleeping pills or threaten to jump off a building. You're a pain in the ass who brings me nothing but stress. Now explain to me what you meant by, I can't lie. What did you do to me? I anxiously grabbed my girlfriend's shoulders, but she furiously raised her hand and slapped me hard across the face. After her outburst, she tried to storm out. I shouted no, but it was too late. The moment the door lock was opened, someone kicked the door open from outside. My girlfriend screamed in terror as several punks walked into the room. One of them, a young punk with dyed yellow hair, came up to me and grabbed my hair before I could react. I threw a punch at his face. He took the hit, but then I saw him pull a small knife from his pocket and stab me hard in the thigh. I doubled over in pain, clutching my thigh and falling to the ground. My girlfriend was terrified by the scene. I weakly told her, call the police. The punk glanced at my girlfriend. Mind your own business, and we won't touch you. My girlfriend took a few deep breaths, slowly calming down. She glanced at me and suddenly sneered. Don't you love your boss's wife? Why don't you ask her to call the police for you? With that, she turned and left in a huff. I shouted at her in despair. I've spent at least $200,000 on you. My girlfriend retorted angrily. That's compensation for my wasted youth. I wanted to say that the law doesn't recognize compensation for wasted youth, but the punks had already tied me up. They took my car keys and threw me into the back seat like an animal. As the car started moving, I said nervously, guys, calm down. You'll go to jail for this. If you take me to the hospital now, I won't call the police. The yellow-haired punk, unfazed, said, what's so scary about jail? You have to go to jail to be a big shot. When I get out, everyone will want to follow me. These are the people lawyers fear the most. Their minds are immature. After dropping out of vocational school, their heads are filled with nothing but street cred and loyalty. These people are a menace to society every day of their lives. And the problem is they think they're living the high life. It's like a scholar facing a soldier, unable to reason with them. That's my situation right now. I pleaded. It was Mr. Zhao who sent you, right? Explained to him that I just had a sudden issue today. When I'm better, I'll definitely continue to help him with his lawsuit. Just as I was begging, the car suddenly slammed on the brakes. I was thrown from the back seat into the front passenger seat. I looked up in a daze and saw a Porsche blocking our way. A voluptuous and sexy woman stepped out of the Porsche, wearing sunglasses and a hot stepmom dress. It was none other than my boss's wife. Thank goodness, she had come to save me. My boss's wife came to the car and knocked on the window. When the window rolled down, she took a few hundred yuan from her wallet and tossed it to the driver. The driver frowned. What's this? Who are you trying to buy off with this little money? My boss's wife said, I'm not here to save him. I just need a few minutes to talk to him alone. The punks exchanged glances, but eventually got out of the car, taking the car keys with them. My boss's wife opened the car door and sat beside me. She looked at me suspiciously and said, You're acting strange today. What's wrong with you? I couldn't hide it anymore and honestly said, I don't know why, but today I can't hide my true feelings at all. She looked at me in surprise and then tentatively asked, Have you ever done anything to betray me? Yes, I said, my face full of tears. I took a picture of your thighs while you were taking a nap. My phone password is my birthday. You can use it as evidence to accuse me of taking pictures secretly, ruin my reputation, and have me detained. The boss's wife took my phone and looked at it. Her face turned red, and she huffed, So you're a wolf in sheep's clothing. I knew something was off about you today. That's why I'm asking you. Is my husband cheating? I said miserably. Can you please not ask? I'll be killed. Tell me now. Your husband is having an affair with his secretary, and the new female lawyer we hired was also seduced by your husband. The firm is now frequently referring clients to another law firm, which is registered under the name of one of your husband's mistresses. The boss's wife nodded in satisfaction. She took notes of everything and then asked, How should I gather evidence? Can I secretly take pictures in the office? I said, Secretly taken photos cannot be used as evidence because it's illegal. You have to use legitimate means to collect evidence. You can barge in on Monday and Wednesday afternoons and catch them in the act. The boss's wife sneered. So the whole law firm is hiding this from me. You really are good dogs for the capitalists. I cried. Now that I've told you so much, the boss won't let me go. He knows people in both the underworld and the legitimate world. The boss's wife poked my head and said with a smile, What does your death have to do with me? You're not a good person either. I'm done asking. You can wait for your death now. She opened the car door and left. I watched my only hope walk away, and those thugs returned. My heart sank. They drove me to an abandoned garbage dump outside the city. When I was dragged out of the car like a dead dog, Mr. Zhao was already waiting for me. Mr. Zhao bit on a cigarette and sneered. You're something else. You cost me millions. I said, Mr. Zhao, I didn't mean to. He waved his hand and said, whether you meant to or not doesn't matter anymore. Today, I'm going to beat you up and then send you abroad. I have a factory over there. You can look forward to a lifetime of hard labor. I actually admired you quite a bit. I even wanted to invite you to be my legal advisor. Unfortunately, I can't forgive those who betray me. Not even once. I tried my best to control myself, but my mouth wouldn't listen. I still blurted out, Mr. Zhao, I've wronged you 3 times. He was stunned, and everyone else present was also stunned. He asked, what else have you done to wrong me? I said, actually, I've been cooperating with the police. While you were transferring assets, you were involved in a lot of tax evasion and smuggling. I've already handed the evidence over to the police. Mr. Zhao's expression became increasingly ugly. He said, don't try to scare me. I know lawyers can't reveal their clients' secrets. They have to put their clients' interests first. You're violating the ethics of the legal profession. I said, lawyers do have professional ethics, but crimes that endanger national security or public safety are exceptions. Mr. Zhao panicked. He grabbed my collar and yelled, why are you doing this? I said, because our boss helped you do a lot of illegal things, including destroying evidence. I want to put our boss in jail. I'm in love with my boss's wife. Go to hell. Mr. Zhao punched me in the face again. I fell to the ground, clutching my face, and cried out, please don't kill me. He said coldly, it's too late. Kill him. Get the boat ready to go abroad immediately. The eager to prove himself young punk quickly picked up a steel pipe and slammed it onto my back. I screamed in agony and fell to the ground. My mouth was quickly stuffed with a rag. He raised the steel pipe again and slammed it onto my back. This time, I couldn't even scream. I was really like a dead dog on the verge of death. I couldn't count how many times I was hit. I only felt dizzy from the pain, and everything around me seemed to be spinning. When Mr. Zhao thought it was enough, he said to the young punk, you kill him, then drive to the dock. You know I have connections to send you abroad. Once you're out, I have a bar for you to watch over. You'll be the boss. The young punk nodded excitedly and asked, can I come back? I want my buddies to know how awesome I am. Mr. Zhao said, of course you can't come back. Once you're there, there will be plenty of women and money. The young punk said, oh, somewhat disappointedly, then dragged me onto the car. Mr. Zhao suddenly said, stab him in the stomach first. I'm afraid you won't dare to do it later. The young punk was anxious. What wouldn't I dare to do? He pulled the knife out of my thigh and plunged it straight into my stomach. I convulsed in pain, but because my mouth was gagged, I couldn't scream. Boss Zhao nodded in satisfaction and said, all right, finish it quickly. After saying that, he got in the car with his men and drove off. Seeing them gone, the blond guy pulled out the knife again and aimed it at my chest. Seeing his movement, I couldn't help but cry. He asked me, why are you crying? A man bleeds, but doesn't cry. You'll be a hero again in your next life. I still couldn't stop crying, so he pulled the rag out of my mouth. I sobbed. This isn't what I imagined. What did you imagine? I imagined that Boss Zhao would be arrested by the police before the divorce, so his wife would get the property she deserves, and my boss would also be arrested, so I could pursue the boss's wife. Don't pretend to be a good person here. If you were really a good person, how could you abandon your girlfriend and fall in love with another woman? My girlfriend just kept spending my money, and every time I wanted to break up, she threatened me with suicide. The first time I broke up with her, she swallowed more than a dozen sleeping pills, and I had to take her to the hospital. The blond guy seemed lost in thought, and finally he said, actually, don't be nervous. The boss's wife doesn't hate you. Look at this knife. Before he could finish his sentence, something terrifying happened. A short knife suddenly stabbed into his neck, entering from the left side and exiting from the right. The blond guy convulsed and fell limply onto me. I was completely stunned. At this moment, Boss Zhao appeared beside him, sneering. This knife is tricky. You really think I couldn't see through it? Boss Zhao picked up the knife from the blond guy's hand and poked it with his finger. The blade retracted into the handle, but not completely, leaving a small part exposed. Boss Zhao said coldly, the stab in your leg was real, the stab in your stomach was fake. It didn't even pierce your skin. I knew this guy was up to something, so I made a comeback. He pulled a short knife out of the blond guy's neck and was about to stab me. I panicked, ignoring the pain in my leg, and pushed the blond guy's body towards Boss Zhao. Boss Zhao kept trying to get past the corpse to stab me with the short knife, and I could only use the blond guy's body as a shield. The situation became increasingly tense. I watched as the short knife came closer and closer, and a suffocating fear spread through me. Just then, the sound of an engine suddenly rang out. I looked back and saw the boss's wife's Porsche speeding towards us. I didn't care about anything else. I quickly opened the car door behind me. My back was already leaning against the door, and as the door unlocked, I fell to the ground, landing on all fours. Due to the sudden inertia, Boss Zhao also fell onto the blonde guy's body. I quickly got up and ran towards the Porsche. The Porsche slowed down just before it was about to hit me, and the window rolled down. The boss's wife was sitting in the car, shouting at me, "Get in!" I hurriedly threw myself into the window, and just as half of my body was in, the boss's wife stepped on the accelerator. I grabbed the passenger seat with both hands and struggled to get inside the car, finally managing to sit down. The boss's wife glanced outside in fear, her face pale as she said, "He really dared to kill." I didn't care about anything else. I cupped the boss's wife's face and said excitedly, "You came to save me. I love you so much." I couldn't control my love and kissed her hot lips. She quickly turned her head away and said anxiously, "Are you crazy?" I cried and said, "I almost died. I love you so much." I kept kissing the boss's wife. The boss's wife gripped the steering wheel and yelled angrily, "Let go of me." Fortunately, I also felt that I shouldn't be doing this, so I finally sat obediently in the passenger seat and said excitedly, "I really love you. I'm willing to do anything for you. If I survive, I don't mind that you're divorced. I want to marry you." The boss's wife suddenly reached out and, while still driving, slapped me hard across the face. "Snap out of it. It's all messed up. I'm in more danger than you are now. My husband is sending people to block me. He can track my car's location on his phone." I was stunned, so the boss's wife was also being blocked. Just then, the boss's wife suddenly slammed on the brakes. Two cars had already blocked the road ahead of us. The boss got out of one of the cars and looked at us coldly with several people. Behind us, Mr. Zhao had already gotten into my car and was chasing after us. The boss's wife panicked, abruptly turned the steering wheel around, and said angrily, "These people are going too far. I'll fight them." I said, "Don't do anything stupid. Your 718 is loaded with 1.5 tons, and my BYD Tang is loaded with 2.5 tons. If we crash into them, it's like tofu hitting a rock, isn't it?" The boss's wife was anxious. "Then what do you suggest?" I hurriedly looked around. On our right were farmlands, seemingly endless, not a good place to hide. The boss's wife is a girl, so she will definitely get caught quickly. On our left was a river, and by the river, there was a narrow passage leading to a water-level observation hut. However, the hut's door was locked, and the windows had security bars. I quickly told the boss's wife, "Get out of the car. I have a way to save you." I pulled her out of the car and ran towards the hut. Although I was limping, the hut was not far, and we soon reached the door. The boss's wife said excitedly, "We can't get in." I said, "Boss's wife, I will definitely protect you." I lifted the boss's wife, feeling her softness and warmth, and said excitedly, "Boss's wife, I've dreamed of holding you like this. Every time I close my eyes, you're all I see in my dreams." She punched me in the chest in a panic. "What are you talking about at a time like this?" I couldn't control the excitement in my heart, and I kissed her lips again. I murmured, "I'm afraid I'll die and won't have the chance to tell you how much I love you." I grabbed the boss's wife's butt and pushed her up onto the hut. She grabbed the roof of the hut with both hands and climbed up with great effort. I quickly said, "Boss's wife, you can step on my shoulders." She stepped on my shoulders with her high heels and finally climbed onto the roof of the hut. I breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Call the police. No matter who tries to climb up, kick their fingers hard with your high heels so they fall. They can't hurt you." I turned around and faced the boss and Mr. Zhao panting. I said, "As long as I'm here, none of you will harm her." The boss frowned. "Are you crazy? You're protecting my wife in front of me." I said, "You don't deserve to call her your wife. I know what you've been doing at the law firm all these years. You not only have relationships with your secretary and female lawyers, but you even maintain improper relationships with female clients. You also used your expertise to transfer a lot of assets." The boss said coldly, "Do you really think this woman needs your protection? She has many tricks up her sleeve. She has long since arranged for someone to investigate us with Mr. Zhao, trying to send me to jail." I said, "You deserve it." The boss frowned and said, "Why are you so obsessed with beauty?" "I'm not doing this for beauty." "Then what are you doing this for?" I panted and said, "When I first became a lawyer, I always lost cases and had no future. My girlfriend scolded me for being useless and secretly went on blind dates behind my back, flirting with other men. At that time, I felt like I was abandoned by the whole world. It was the boss's wife who often encouraged me, gave me many small cases to practice, and asked senior lawyers to guide me. I will never forget the boss's wife's kindness. Now that I am a successful lawyer, my girlfriend suddenly had a change of heart and came back to me, spending my money every day, maxing out my credit cards, and threatening me with our past. But in my heart, there is only the boss's wife's tenderness. I don't understand. Now that your deeds are exposed, turning yourselves in is the best choice. Why are you still blocking us here? The boss said coldly. Because no one has reported it to the police. I was stunned. What do you mean no one has reported it? I already gave the evidence to the police. The boss shook his head. When you gave the evidence to the courier, I had someone steal the package halfway. I said in a daze. How did you know I gave the evidence to the courier? You underestimate your girlfriend's greed for money. Last time you brought your girlfriend to the annual meeting, she secretly hooked up with a partner from another law firm. That partner happens to be my buddy. Your girlfriend told him everything you do at home. I was stunned. My girlfriend has been secretly playing around with a partner from another law firm? Yes, you're just a salaried lawyer. What can you compare to a partner? He also got your girlfriend pregnant and asked her to marry you quickly, so you can take over. The boss walked toward me with his men, sneering. Your evidence was never given to the police. As long as we get rid of you two today, no one will know. You really like my wife, huh? Fine. I'll bury you two together. The boss's wife panicked, shaking her phone frantically. Don't you dare. I'm calling the police right now. The boss said. If you were going to call the police, you would have done it already. That phone of yours is useless. The boss's wife's face turned pale. I quickly asked her what was wrong. She whispered. As soon as I turn on my phone, I get nonstop calls that hang up immediately. There's 1 call per second on average, making it impossible to use my phone normally. I anxiously said, that's called blocker. It's illegal malware. Don't worry, boss's wife. I'll protect you, Zhao yelled. Protect your ass. I'm going to run you over right now. He started my car, aimed it at me, and slowly drove forward. My heart sank. This road was just wide enough for my car. In other words, I could only watch helplessly as Zhao ran me over with my own car. There was nowhere to escape. If I knew martial arts, I could jump onto the car roof and, with a light tap of my toes, land on the roof of the house. But the problem is I don't know martial arts. I can't perform such a difficult maneuver. As the car got closer and closer, my heart raced. The boss's wife also crouched down and stretched out her hand, urgently saying, Quick, grab my hand. I'll pull you up. I couldn't hide what was in my heart and shouted at the boss's wife. You can't pull me up, and your cleavage is so deep. The boss's wife was shocked and quickly covered her neckline, angrily saying, What are you thinking about at a time like this? I cried out. I really don't want to say it out loud. Just then, the unexpected happened. With a loud rumble, the road began to shake and collapse. This narrow passage was only meant to access the water-level observation hut and couldn't withstand a 2.5-ton vehicle. Zhao had intended to run me over, but now he and the car fell down. Another loud crash followed, and half of my car, which I'd bought on a 24-month loan, fell into the river. But Zhao was fine. He quickly climbed out of the car, cursing angrily. What a lousy road. Scared the hell out of me. I stared blankly at the collapsed section of the bridge. The good news was they couldn't chase us anymore. The bad news was we couldn't get out either. Zhao cursed furiously. Fine, you're lucky for now. Let's see who outlasts who. No one ever comes to this place. You're stuck here with no food or water. I'll starve you to death. The boss said coldly. No, the longer we wait, the more problems there will be. Go buy a case of beer and a few bottles of alcohol. We'll make Molotov cocktails and burn these 2 lovebirds alive. The boss's wife angrily retorted. How dare you call us lovebirds? I haven't been with a single man all these years. How many women have you been with behind my back? Shameless. The boss flushed red and said, Do you dare swear you haven't been with anyone? Wearing such short skirts all the time. Who knows if you've been seducing men outside? The boss's wife said, I swear on my mother's life. Do you dare? The boss, knowing he was in the wrong, fell silent, impatiently telling the others, Hurry up and do it. The rest of you, don't just stand there. Throw rocks at them. Kill them with rocks if you can. Hearing this, I panicked and, ignoring the pain, jumped and managed to grab the roof. With great difficulty, I pulled myself up. By this time, they were already throwing rocks at us. I quickly shielded the boss's wife, saying urgently, Don't be afraid, boss's wife. I'll protect you. The boss's wife huddled in my arms, her eyes moist with tears, and cried, Why are you doing this? Why are you protecting me? I said, Because I love you. I really don't mind that you're divorced. She cried, I have over 20 million. Do I need to worry about people minding that I am divorced? You're making me feel guilty now. I don't love you. I'm not worth you sacrificing so much. I flushed and said, knowing you have over 20 million, I love you even more. I thought you only had a few million. Do you love me or my money? I love both, but I love you more. You know I can't keep my thoughts to myself. I can't lie to you. Once again, I couldn't control the excitement in my heart. I held the boss's wife's face and kissed her. This time, the boss's wife didn't resist. She just stood there, motionless, letting me kiss her. Some stones hit me in the back, and I flinched slightly from the pain. The proprietress whispered, "Does it hurt?" I said, "It doesn't hurt. It feels like I'm dreaming right now. I kiss you in my dreams every day." "Stop it. You're so disgusting when you talk." I don't want to say it either, but I can't control myself. I pulled the proprietress down to the ground, pressing us tightly against the eaves so that the stones would hit the roof instead of us. I looked at the proprietress face to face. She was so beautiful, with a face like a movie star, a stunning figure, and over 20 million in assets. I couldn't believe it, even in my dreams. Such a wonderful woman had entrusted her life to me at this moment. The proprietress kept looking down. Seeing me staring at her blankly, she said anxiously, "Can you focus on the task at hand first?" I asked, "Do you like me?" She said, "I didn't feel anything before. At the beginning today, I loathed you and wished you were dead. But then I realized you genuinely love me, and I felt a bit better. And then you did so much for me. I really started to develop some feelings for you." I said foolishly, "Then my death would be worth it." "Don't talk nonsense. We might really die soon." I saw them coming back with beer and alcohol. I quickly peeked over the edge and saw that these people were indeed unpacking a case of beer and pouring out the liquid. Once they made Molotov cocktails and threw them up, the beer bottles would shatter and the splattering alcohol would douse us, engulfing the proprietress and me in a sea of fire. I got up and looked at the other side of the small house's roof. Below was the river. There was no path, but there were windows, albeit with security bars. I quickly said, "Come here quickly." She carefully crawled over to me, and I immediately pulled her into my arms. She screamed, and I already had her hanging off the roof. I said to her, "There are security bars below. Be careful not to step on the bars. I'm afraid they're not sturdy. Step on the windowsill." The proprietress said nervously, "I'm scared." I said, "Don't be afraid. No matter what, I'll hold you tight. I will definitely protect you." The proprietress hugged me tightly in fear and carefully tested the way down with her legs. Finally, she stepped onto the window ledge and cried, "Please don't let go." Looking at her tear-stained face, I felt such heartache. I said, "I really want to kiss you." She cried, "As long as you don't let go." I kissed the proprietress again. She responded to my kiss while crying, whispering, "I've never done anything so romantic and scary at the same time. It feels like we're in a movie." I just felt my heart beating faster and faster. I pressed my forehead against hers and whispered, "I like you so much. I may be a terrible person, but I will definitely not let anything happen to you. Everything I've done all these years was to protect you." Just then, a loud bang suddenly came from behind me. I turned my head and saw that a Molotov cocktail had already been thrown up. Flames spread in all directions. Before I could even assess the situation, another Molotov cocktail landed right on my back. My back immediately burst into flames. The proprietress screamed in terror, and I held her with one hand while the other, ignoring my fear, ripped off my clothes. The proprietress cried, "That's too dangerous." I looked at the sky and whispered, "It's okay. It'll be dark soon. Can you swim?" She said, "I can. After it gets dark, I'll drop you down. Swim downstream. There's a fork in the river. Swim to the left. It will lead away from the road, separated by the river and the mountain path. No matter how they drive, they won't be able to catch up." Suddenly, another beer bottle crashed down beside me. The flames burned, and I painfully struggled to move aside. The proprietress suddenly cried out, "It's truth serum." I asked, "What?" "Your girlfriend must have used truth serum on you. It makes you emotionally agitated and unable to control your words and actions. She wanted to propose to you today to make you unable to lie, cornering you and forcing you to marry her." I said, "I remember now. The coffee I brought with me today was made by her. I was wondering why she was suddenly so kind to make me coffee. She's never done anything for me before." The proprietress cried again. "There's something I need to apologize for." "What is it?" "You said that during my lowest point, you were always encouraging me." "I don't remember that at all. That was my law firm. Of course I would encourage every new employee. My kindness towards you was nothing special." I shook my head, looked at her beautiful face, and suddenly smiled. I said softly, "It's okay. The kindness you casually sprinkled has been enough to heal me for a lifetime. Alcohol spilled on me. I didn't dare let go of the boss's wife. So I held her tightly with one hand while gently patting away the alcohol with the other, because the more chaotic it was, the easier it was for problems to arise. In the blink of an eye, I was covered in wounds. The sun was gone from the sky, and everything was getting darker. I knew that after a while, I could let the boss's wife go down. The boss's wife said anxiously, "You're covered in blood." I shook my head and said to her seriously, "Boss's wife, remember this. They might drive down to block you, but don't worry. The river gets wider as you go downstream. Just swim towards the left front. They won't be able to catch you." The boss's wife said, "Come with me." I shook my head. I knew I couldn't escape. I couldn't even swim. My body was in a lot of pain at first, but after getting more injuries, maybe my body's protective mechanism kicked in, or maybe adrenaline started pumping. I didn't feel the pain as much. I looked at the boss's wife and couldn't help but smile. The boss's wife asked, "Why are you smiling at a time like this?" I said, "Boss's wife, I bet I'm deeply etched in your memory now." She stared at me blankly. It was already dark. I lowered my head and kissed her passionately. This time, she responded fervently. I couldn't imagine that the woman I loved most would be kissing me so passionately under these circumstances. I should have been just an insignificant character to her, not even worthy of her attention. But now, I believe she will remember me forever. My heart ached and thrilled at the same time. I couldn't help but bite her lip a little harder. The boss's wife let out a soft "ah," and then said foolishly, "I like this." I said, "And I like everything about you. Go. I won't let them catch you." I pushed the boss's wife. She fell into the water with a splash. The boss heard the noise and shouted, "That woman jumped into the river. Drive down there and block her." I sneered, picked up 2 pieces of broken glass, endured the pain in my legs, and ran towards the boss with all my might. As I was about to fall off the building, I leaped. Normally, I wouldn't be able to jump that distance, but now I was jumping from top to bottom, which increased my jumping distance. I landed on the ground, and my legs hurt so much that I almost knelt, but I still managed to stand firm. I sneered and said, "I'm the one who protected that woman." The boss was furious and cursed. "Kill him." A thug immediately rushed towards me. It was too dark. They didn't see the glass in my hands. When he punched me in the chest, I let his fist hit me, then I stabbed him fiercely in the abdomen with the glass. The thug screamed in pain and doubled over like a shrimp. I held onto the glass tightly, letting it pierce my palm, and stabbed him several more times. He finally collapsed to the ground. The boss and Mr. Zhao were stunned by the scene. The boss said blankly, "Are you crazy? You killed him." I said, "You threw so many bottles at me. My actions can be considered self-defense. I've been a lawyer for so long. Don't you think I know the law? Boss, since you want to be a barbarian, I'll play along." I walked towards him with the glass. He was, after all, a rich and cowardly dog who didn't dare to fight. He said foolishly, "You're a madman." "I've been a madman since the moment I entered this law firm and discovered your crimes. This is not my lifelong dream. I watched you use the law to be a dirty person. You are so despicable. Yet you use the law to clean yourself up. I didn't become a lawyer to protect people like you. The law wasn't created to be your umbrella." Mr. Zhao gripped his short knife tightly. He gritted his teeth and said, "You wanted to help my ex-wife from the beginning, didn't you? You wanted to send me to jail so she could take my property, right?" I said, "Yes, I didn't put the client's interest first, so I can't be a qualified lawyer." Mr. Zhao was furious and cursed. "Don't think you can scare me with 2 pieces of broken glass. I was fighting my way up with my fists when you were still who knows where." I looked at his shiny short knife, and instead of dodging, I lunged at him. Mr. Zhao initially wanted to scare me, waving the short knife in front of me, but my initiative caught him off guard. Taking advantage of his feint, I lunged at him, allowing the short knife to pierce my thigh, and then I thrust both pieces of glass towards his waist. Mr. Zhao screamed like a slaughtered pig in pain. He quickly tried to pull out the knife, but I was already gripping the glass shards tightly, stabbing him several times in the waist and internally. He instantly weakened, coughed up a mouthful of blood, and said weakly, "You lunatic, and all for a married woman." Yes, so not only am I not a qualified lawyer, I'm not even a qualified man. Mr. Zhao collapsed softly to the ground, and I was so exhausted that I knelt down. Excessive blood loss left me with no strength to continue resisting. The boss and his henchmen were pale-faced. I forced a smile and said, "As an unqualified lawyer, I'll give you one more piece of advice. This matter can no longer be covered up. Rather than commit a greater crime, it's better to turn yourselves in immediately, send me to the hospital, and receive lenient treatment. The choice is yours. A lawyer must respect the client's wishes. I struggled to utter these last words, and then my vision became increasingly dark. Finally, I couldn't resist the weakness and collapsed softly. When I groggily woke up, I found myself on a hospital bed in the hallway. The boss's wife was sleeping beside me. Sensing my movement, she quickly opened her eyes and asked me with concern, "You're awake? How are you feeling?" I said, "I survived." She grabbed my hand and said, "Yes, you survived." Two of them were too scared to continue. "They called the police and sent you to the hospital." I said, "This plot doesn't seem right. Shouldn't I be in a hospital room?" The boss's wife said, "You just lost a lot of blood, and the wound has been treated. The doctor said the rooms are very busy, so they put you out in the hallway." I said, "That still doesn't seem right." Boss's wife, "You're so rich. Shouldn't you have gotten me a private room?" The boss's wife said, "You're in a top-tier public hospital. Do you want to go to a private hospital? Besides, you can use your medical insurance here. Have you been reading too many CEO novels? Why would I send you to a private hospital when there's a top-tier public hospital that can be reimbursed?" I thought about it and agreed, letting out a sigh of relief. Boss's wife is really good at managing things. The boss's wife reached out and gently stroked my hair, saying softly, "If you're still uncomfortable, you can sleep a little longer. The doctor said you're fine and can be discharged soon." I stared blankly at the boss's wife's face and said softly, "You're so beautiful." The boss's wife blushed. She bit her lip and whispered, "You really don't mind that I'm divorced? You're a first-time marriage." I said, "You really don't mind that I only have 30,000 yuan in my account? You have over 20 million. She shook her head. "That bastard was arrested by the police. I'll have more than 20 million in the future." I said softly, "Whether you have money or not, you're equally beautiful in my eyes." When I said this, both the boss's wife and I were stunned. She asked curiously, "Is the truth serum wearing off?" I said, "It seems so." I just lied instinctively. "Actually, I really love your rich asset." The boss's wife burst into a giggle. She suddenly lowered her head and gently kissed me. My heart suddenly started pounding. This was the first time the boss's wife had initiated a kiss. She said playfully, "You said you didn't mind that I'm divorced, so of course, I won't mind you. Get well soon. You protected me bravely this time. When you're discharged, I'll give you my Porsche." I said excitedly, "When the time comes, can you wear a short skirt and sit in the passenger seat so I can take a picture of the Porsche steering wheel and your long legs together and show it off on my WeChat moments?" "Yes." "When the time comes, can I put my arm around your waist and you kiss my cheek and I take a picture and show it off on my WeChat moments?" "Yes, you can." I couldn't help but kiss the boss's wife's cheek again and said happily, "I'm so lucky, aren't I?" She said softly, "Does this make you feel very lucky?" I nodded repeatedly. She stroked my face and said softly, "If we really get married, I'll buy you a Land Rover then." I didn't have much companionship before. I want someone to be with me often in the future. Can you do that? I whispered, "I have to go to work. If I don't earn a salary, I won't be able to hold my head up in front of you. It's okay. I can make you a partner in my law firm. You can have more freedom then. At least you don't have to clock in for work. Then I'll definitely make it up to you in the future." The landlady rested her head on my chest and whispered, "I heard that a person's heart beats faster when they lie. I can only give you so much. Do you really not mind?" "I really don't mind," she playfully said. "Your heart is beating faster. That's the heartbeat of love." After I was discharged from the hospital, the police did not prosecute me, as they deemed my actions self-defense. Mr. Zhao wasn't so lucky. He lay in the hospital's ICU for many days. After being transferred, he was immediately put under surveillance and later sentenced. As for our boss, after he went in, the employees of the law firm rushed to pledge their loyalty to the landlady. In a spirit of proactive reporting, everyone sent the boss to prison. My girlfriend came back to me, asking to get back together. She admitted her mistakes and told me that she and the partner at the law firm had only been momentarily impulsive. She promised to stay by my side in the future. I ignored her, so she threatened to jump off a building. I still ignored her. She didn't jump in the end. My girlfriend, in a panic, threatened me again by taking sleeping pills. I still ignored her, but I did call the police to have her arrested. However, after the police arrested her, they discovered that her sleeping pills were fake, just deceptive flour. Under police interrogation, my girlfriend finally admitted that the last time she had also taken flour. She had used suicide, taking advantage of my kindness, to keep me firmly by her side. From that moment on, no matter what she said, I would never believe her again. When my injuries were completely healed and I could walk on my own, I drove my Porsche to the law firm. At the entrance of the law firm, a brand new Land Rover was parked. The landlady was as stunning as ever. She leaned against the Land Rover, smiling at me. When I reached her side, she gently said, "Ready for your first day as a partner?" I quickly replied, "I'm ready, boss lady." She seemed a little displeased. "I bought you a Land Rover, and you still call me boss lady?" I chuckled, put my arm around her waist, kissed her deeply on the lips, and whispered, "Ready, wife. Record number. YXXBDNX9PK, 8YZHNYQ."